Good morning, Nation. John here. Thank you very much, as always, for being here this morning. Hey, if you're brand new, consider subscribing to the channel. That would be truly appreciated. I want to speak very quickly on Bud Light. Yeah, Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light. Y'all know the score with Bud Light. Most of you do. As of right now, they have lost billions of dollars. Their stock, it's a total dumpster fire. But don't go celebrating too much just yet. I mean, I'm glad to see it. It looks like so far the boycott is actually working, but they have not posted anything on social media since that whole fiasco went down. And people are wondering why. Why are they not posting? Why are they not, apologizing, doing this, doing that? It's because they think we're going to forget. They think conservatives are just going to boycott for a couple of weeks because, as we talked about in a previous video, that's typically what happens. Boycott for a little while and then go back crawling with your tail tucked between your legs. So please don't do that. Very proud of each and every person that has boycotted that dirtbag company, but keep the pressure on them. Even though I've heard it tastes like piss water. I don't know. I don't really drink. But speaking of water, that's this morning's subject. Ginger, thank you very much. I'd seen this already, but I'm like, after I read your message, I'm like, hey, credible topic, right? So the WEF, the WEF folks, the WEF, as I like to call them now, they want to ration water. They are calling on major world powers, the governments of each world power, to begin rationing water according to what the WEF determines needs to happen. So this is a direct quote from their social media account over on Twitter, okay? So direct quote, but very important. I want you to keep this in mind because it's going to come back into play later. They said water is not a human right. So they are, during this tweet, what they're doing is they're pitching the idea of rationing water in order to save the planet. And there was some feedback, hey, water's a human right. And they're saying, no, water's not a human right. We need to think of it a different way. The next comes straight from their website, and I'm going to link this down below so you folks can find it. This is just part of a quote as they're explaining this initiative because now they're working with the UN. I was just telling y'all yesterday, the UN, I view that as the junkyard dog of the WEF. But that's, strictly opinion. Anyway, quoting, to properly govern water as a global common good. So in other words, it belongs to everyone, and because it belongs to everyone, everyone needs to do their part, and you will be governed, and they will control the water. That is their plan moving forward. The UN, speaking of the UN, they actually just this past March held a conference called the 2023 Water Conference. They're not even trying to hide this. This stuff is out in the wide open. Again, that took place in March, and this quote is very, very important. Remember what I was just telling you. I got to read this quote here. This is coming from the UN. We need to ensure the human right to water. So the WEF, working in conjunction with the United Nations, all right? The WEF, water is not a human right. The UN, we need to ensure the human right to water. Now, where's the issue? Both are primarily funded by the same people behind the curtain. So they are actually double speaking here. Big hiccup one way or the other. When you look at it, they're telling you water's not a human right. You need to do, for the common good, you need to do your part, son. But then they're also pitching it at this UN conference that we need to ensure that the human right to water. So which one is it? Why are we allowing this? And I'm talking right now to specifically the people in the United States, but of course, everybody. Why are we allowing this? Why are we watching our own government submit to the WEF? I know it's a conservative, a big bad mean conservative talking post and all of this stuff. But I mean, really, truly, let's cut right down to it. Why are we allowing a non-sovereign entity to kind of eclipse our Constitution, to eclipse our own government, our elected officials. Now they want to eclipse our basic right to access water. And this initiative is already catching on because there's a drought in California. Of course, it's not the first time they've ever had a drought. Gavin Newsom, of course, is already toeing the line. He's saying we're going to restrict people's access to water. You're only going to be allowed to use certain areas of California. Only use a certain amount. You're only going to be able to use it at regulated times and things like this. It's a matter of control. I'll hear this often, and I understand why, in the prepping community: grow food. A lot of times it'll have exclamation marks and stuff, and again, I get it. Grow food. Very important. Becoming self-sufficient. Everything you don't need from a Walmart because you're producing it yourself puts you one step closer to being where you need to be as far as prepping and homesteading. So I totally get it. But how are you supposed to do that without water? How are you supposed to do that, legally speaking, legally, right, without access to clean water? How are you supposed to do it? The WEF doesn't want you to do it. That's what this boils down to. They've already introduced their own version of food, but they're going to be doing that on a very large scale. As we say sometimes in chat, just messing around, but it honestly, there is a weight to it. You will eat the bugs. All of this test tube meat and stuff, they can't sell it to you if you're making your own, right? So they need to eliminate all of the other options for you to where you literally only have that one lifeline left. If you don't eat, you're going to die, right? So you need to eat. The WEF needs to be the only game in town, so to speak. I mean, maybe you think it is about climate change for, the artist formerly known as global warming. I don't know. They don't want you to be self-sufficient whatsoever. I was just telling the Patreon crowd, I really hate it when we have these random explosions in the middle of the night and milk cows and things go boom. I really hate when we have these, again, random, wink, wink, derailments and things, and all of this soil being ruined, all of this fertile farmland be ruined, all of this water being polluted, and now the dairy is under attack. Like, why are we allowing this? It's happening right in front of us. Anybody with, a brain understands what's going on here. Why are there so many people that are still asleep on this? It's kind of like, I hate to make this parallel, but I'm going to. We're always talking about the Second Amendment and why do you even have this if you're just going to wait till they show up at your front door? It's like we're waiting until there are no other options before we finally call it out and try and get something done about it. This is about total control. That is absolutely the agenda with these people. So with this in mind, and again, I'll link this intel down below. It comes straight from the UN's website in this case, okay? Rethink your water strategy, your long-term water strategy. I'm not saying you don't have a great one. Maybe you have the most bulletproof water strategy there is long-term. Just take a few minutes today and really ask yourself, do I have a feasible long-term plan? Is my plan going to work? If some sort of regulation is passed where I'm no longer in my area allowed to collect rainwater, for example, or divert fresh water, to a homestead or something, am I going to be able to do it anyway? Do I have a plan B if I'm not willing to go against that particular agenda? Now, if you're a zombie, hey, thanks for tuning in. You don't really need to worry about this because you don't have any long-term thought process. If you did, you would always, you'd already be prepping. But for the rest of you, you non-zombies, again, Beaverines, thank y'all. What's up? Do you have some sort of a water catchment system? Seriously, This to buy water catchment systems that are specifically for water catchment, everything is included. They're like $100, starting at $100 and up. If you're handy with tools and piping, you can, don't say a word, Forrest, and stuff like that. You can put your own system together, but 5-gallon buckets will work, yes, if you're bugged out or something, but that to me is not a long-term strategy. I get it. They're great for collecting water, but realistically, it's not a long-term strategy. Do you have a long-term strategy? Is it, or can it be, easily concealed? Because you may live in an area right now that's all about, hey man, collect all the rainwater you want to. Maybe you live in Oregon and it's raining all the time. And, there are no regulations that I know of in Oregon, maybe certain parts, but you're just collecting it hand over fist. Please understand, the WEF is not going to allow that to happen for much longer. When regulations come, they're going to want everyone regulated, no matter the amount of rainfall or not. Can you conceal what you have? Are you willing to conceal it? Some people are just going to take it down, turn it in, whatever. Are you willing to conceal it? Go against these new regulations and collect it anyway. And to each their own on this. Another question is water, a shortage of water, like a water crisis, is that really a top global concern right now? Again, on this channel, I don't dispute climate change. I think this has happened since the beginning of time, but I dispute the fact that we're all going to be on a fireball in 10 years. And I think that they have drastically overplayed how important it is to execute agendas. For me, this is what it's all about. I think about the fact that we're getting ready to hit summertime. It's going to be hot in spots. There are going to be droughts. There always are. But the difference is now the WEF, every single time there's a drought, they're going to point at climate change and they're going to try and jam legislation through a government. Watch and see. And as this happens, most people will not stand up. Most people will not question it. And as that happens, as people are just complacent, your options are going to become limited. So do you have what you need already? If you're trying to get around water regulations and we have a digital currency, say in a year, and cash is not an option, you really can't go out and buy a catchment system with digital money, because then it's on the books absolutely 100%, right? So just think about that kind of stuff. Be a forward thinker. All right. So anyway, this is John. Thank y'all very much for being here this morning and discussing water and all kinds of other stuff. Again, if you're boycotting Bud Light, please keep doing it. Please keep doing it. Maybe they will finally get the message. Maybe they'll have to come on social media and TV and grovel for their own, their old customers back. Please come back. They have lost a ton of their market share. And it's gotten to the point now where I've actually spoken to people that said, not only am I boycotting Bud Light, I'm calling the bars that I used to go to and the restaurants. And I'm telling them, if you serve it, I'm going elsewhere. And I'm going to spend my money elsewhere. So people are apparently still pissed about this, and I hope that remains the case. Anyway, y'all take care and God bless.